All right, welcome to the very first edition of the Player to Coach pod. We just finished up with our conversation with Brendyn Taylor. It was a really good time getting to check in with a dude who's awesome. He's come from a great situation, come from home, got some really cool experiences there, and ended up playing with him for a little bit, and now he's off doing big things. Really cool catching up with this guy. What did you think, Jordan?
Yeah, it was really cool. I got to see him in person a couple weeks ago out at the Final Four, but it was nice to just chat it up with him and talk about, like his experience as a player at different levels of college. Obviously he has a great family background with athletes, and then talked about player development a little bit and the situation that he's in at St. John's. So yeah, it's really cool, and it was great to catch up with him. He's a great teammate, so good dude.
Yeah, for sure. Really good dude. Really good resource as well. Like I didn't. He drops in there at the end that we could let people know like how to get in contact with him. I
Yeah,
didn't expect that.
yeah.
We'll kind of see who takes advantage of that. But honestly, like if you're someone who is looking to play high level basketball, like he's a really good resource. This is a really good listen. He drops some definitely some big gems in there for
He's
anyone who's interested in playing and coaching for
yeah.
sure.
Well, and he's definitely the bounciest dude that we'll ever have on this podcast. So,
Right.
um, yeah, yeah. I can't wait to talk
Yeah,
about that. It was fun to talk about
he's
that.
up there.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're an unathletic white person like Jordan and I, then like you might just want to like hit fast forward through the bouncy part because like it doesn't apply to you. I'm
unrelatable.
sorry, it just doesn't. Yep, it's yep. He doesn't tell you how to do it other than he was born into it. So like if you don't want to be reminded of how unathletic you are, just skip that portion. Anyway, here we go. Let's get to our conversation with Brendyn Taylor. All right, what's going on, everybody? This is our very first episode of our podcast called Player to Coach Pod. We have a former teammate of ours, a great friend of ours, somebody who is going to be on the bright lights currently and will be forever soon. So let's welcome to the show, Brendyn Taylor. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad to be a guest on your guys' podcast, very first podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. When we start out, we got to start off with a bang. We can't start off
It's a
slow. We
big
got to
honor.
start with the
It's a big
best.
honor.
I appreciate it, man. Anytime I can, talk a little bit about my experiences as a player and as a coach, and talk with the homies for a little bit. It's a good day. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna start off with a bang here and talk about something that I'm sure you tell everybody about that you meet. When you put our tiny little school on the map by dunking on some kid from Southern Oregon and getting us on Sports Center, real quick, just talk to us. How amazing was that play? Because I know it was amazing from my view on the bench for sure.
It was pretty cool, man. It was actually, I feel like it was like later in the game,
It
so
was.
it kind of came at a moment where I feel like nobody was expecting it. And that's just how I played, man. I had to I had to finish high at the rim. It was cool though, the whole experience, just being able to get on the ESPN, get on the top 10, and more importantly, just give some shine to the school. No one really knew about our school like that, so to kind of be able to do that in any capacity, I think is pretty cool.
My
Yeah, for
I have
sure.
to say, my favorite part about it was on a dude who I grew up playing against locally. So that was my favorite part.
I didn't
That
know
was my favorite part.
that.
I won't name
I had
drop
no
though. I
idea. I
won't
did
name
not
drop.
know that. That's
That's
funny.
awesome. I that was a crazy game in general. I'm sure, like looking back on it, like from a coach's perspective, they were just happy that it was like out of a drawn up play. Like it was our
Right.
offense that it came out of, rather than just like you just coming down a fast break. They're like, yeah, I drew up that play. But
Yeah.
um, anyway, so let's take it back kind of to the beginning. Kind of paint a picture for us of like your family, kind of your upbringing up into basketball, kind of what that looked like.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm the baby of five kids. I have one brother, three sisters. My father, uh, hold on a second. I'm sorry, I was getting some. So my dad kind of grew up in a sports family. My grandfather played in the NFL. My uncle played in the NFL. My dad played 10 years in the ABA and then NBA. Um, so I grew up around sports. My sisters play sports. Obviously, I started playing basketball when I was 4 years old. My dad put the ball in my hands when I was very young. So I kind of grew up with having a sports background. My brother had the opportunity to play at a high level from high school all the way through his pro career. Growing up out here in California, Los Angeles, he went to high school, Harvard Westlake, then went to University of Oregon, where I spent a lot of my time as a youngster and grew a love for Eugene. And then he went on to have a 13 professional year career in Italy and Germany. For myself, I went to a couple different high schools in Los Angeles, View Park Prep, and then I finished off at Fairfax High School. I had the pleasure of staying home and going to play at University of Southern California. I was able to graduate from there in 3 years, do a grad transfer, play at Santa Clara, and then finish my career up at Northwest Christian, which is now Bushnell. And then had a little bit of time that I spent overseas, about 8 months, and had to get cut short due to some illness and sickness. But had a great experience doing that. And then yeah, so that was it for my playing career. So I kind of grew up in a basketball family, grew up in a sports family, was around the game my entire life.
Nice, nice. Brendan, can you kind of touch on it a little bit? So obviously you played at a few different colleges, different
Hmm.
levels. So you started out Power Five, then mid major, and then ended up playing NAI ball with us.
Right,
So like, can you kind of give your
right.
perspective a little bit on those levels and what your experience is and how you kind of see them?
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things that made my career like a blessing is that I was able to, like you said, touch kind of each level, and each level has something special about it. Being at a Power Five level, you're around the best players, in the nation. Being at USC, competing in the Pac-12, getting to play against USC and Washington and Oregon State. Um, you're able to kind of be around the top of the top, and the resources that those schools have are, in the 0.1%. And I say this to a lot of people. I tell them a lot of times, like Division 1 athletes are spoiled. We're spoiled. You know what I mean? So being able to have that experience was a great experience for myself. Being at home, I really enjoyed it. USC was a great experience for me. Socially, academically, basketball didn't go the way that I wanted it to, but I had a good time. And then being able to touch, mid-major at Santa Clara and WCC. Um, Obviously, the resources are a little bit different there, just because you drop down a level, and but the talent is great. You get to play against Gonzaga, BYU, St. Mary's. So being able to just compete with those guys, it was a great experience. I would say that at the time that I was at Santa Clara, I think that they were trying to like take everything to the next level. So like now they have like a practice facility. They have all these different things that they added on after I left. But while I was there, they you could tell that they were still trying to get to that level where they can compete with the BYU's, the Gonzagas, just from a recruiting standpoint and a facilities aspect. And then dropping down to the NIA level, resources are kind of slim. But uh, at Bushnell, it was a great experience. I probably tell people like as far as like my whole college experience as a whole, I had my best year at Bushnell, just being in a college town, having that close, tight knit community, playing under legend Luke Jackson, Coach Mark McCann. You know what I mean? Your pops, like all those dudes, really played a role into who I am as a young man, and so I think that although the resources at that level um, aren't the same as a USC or even a Santa Clara, I think people don't realize that you can still go to a school like that and still get the experience that you're looking for. And the talent wise, I tell people this all the time. People don't realize how good guys at the NAI level are. You know what I mean? There's hoopers at every level. Like there's guys that are gonna go play for professional basketball that played at NAIA basketball, and they'll have a long career overseas. You know what I mean? So I don't think people realize that, and that was an eye opener for me. Just coming into that, I didn't really know what to expect, so I just went in with no expectations, and I was able to go in and have a really good time and finish my college career at a great spot. So
Sure.
For sure, that's definitely true. Once I kind of hung up my shoes and I went to go help coach at a D3, it was like right off the bat, it was like that NCAA D3 supposedly is like one of the lower levels, but anybody
right,
who thinks that they can just go in and hoop, like they would tear you up. Like it's just without a doubt. Like
yeah,
there's hoopers on every single level.
for
I
sure.
know a big thing with a lot of athletes is not having any regrets in their career. Are there any regrets about how you went through your college process, or is there anything that you would change different looking back on that process?
I don't think that I have any regrets. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. I think I did what I was supposed to do in that given time. Obviously, coming out of high school, like I probably could have went to a smaller school um, where I would have been able to like make an impact like right away. But I mean, being from Los Angeles, USC recruiting you, like it's hard to say no to that because you look at when you
Right.
look at things like from a broad standpoint, like not just hoops, like USC degree holds weight on the West Coast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like that Trojan family is like a real thing. Um, so I wouldn't say that I have any regrets. I think now that I'm a coach, I can understand why some situations didn't work out. And I think when you're a player, a lot of the times, like your first initial reaction is to like blame the coach and like not really like take yourself outside of your body and look at like what I can do better in this situation. So I think now that I'm, in the coaching realm, like I think about certain ways that I handle certain situations as a player, and I realize that okay, I probably shouldn't have done that, or I could have done a better job of this, or you know what I'm saying? Like so, I don't have any regrets, but I think everything went the way that it was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? To end up, and that's the reason why I'm able to end up in the position that I am, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why I'll be able to have a long, steady coaching career,
Yeah. Can you?
if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
definitely. Can you kind of go a little bit more in depth about what your recruiting looked like out of high school? So obviously you ended up at USC to start, but what was recruiting like? When did it
Right.
start for you? Were you proactive about it? Um, were coaches just all over you? Like,
Yeah. So
where did they find you?
yeah. So man, my high school experience was kind of crazy, bro. Like I ended up only really playing like 2.5 years of like full high school basketball. So I started at View Park, which is a small charter school in South Los Angeles. Um, and I ended up transferring after my sophomore year to Fairfax. Now, when I initially transferred, you have to go through this whole appeal, this whole waiver situation, and there are some things that was going on at my old school, so I wanted to get out of there and get a fresh start at somewhere else. And so initially, when I filled out my waiver to play right away, I got denied, and then I appealed that, won the appeal, and then CIF came back, and they basically said that I was under investigation for like some fraudulent stuff, and they dragged that out my entire junior season and halfway through my senior season. So I played maybe like 15 games my junior season, and then 15 games like my senior season. So a big
Mm.
thing for me was AAU. And then my junior summer AAU season, I ended up like messing my ankle up really badly. So the amount of exposure that I got wasn't necessarily what it could have been if those things didn't happen. But for me, my recruiting process was AAU is majority where you get all your exposure from. So just playing on, I played on double pump, so pump and run,
Yep.
and then I played on Team Jennings, and had great coaches and in both of those situations, and just being in those tournaments. We played in the top Adidas tournaments for pump and run, and then for Team Jennings it was Under Armour. We played in the top Under Armour event. So just being able to go to those events and get exposure to where coaches are, um, that's how majority of my recruiting happened. And then from there, just word of mouth and people coming to see me play at my high school when I was playing. That also took place too. So majority of stuff came from my AAU, and then once people kind of like figured out that they like you, they come and watch you at your high school.
Sure.
Mm.
It's cool.
At what point did you make the commitment to basketball? Like you said, like you had a lot of exposure to high level athletes in different sports, like throughout your family, like with your brother and your dad, and you said your grandpa. And
Hmm. Hmm.
when did you make that your own, and what did training look like for you?
So for me, it was a little difficult because like my pops played in the L, bro. Like that's the that's where everybody's trying to get to. Like, you know what I mean? I grew up hearing about
Right.
how great of a player my dad is. So the pressure from that, and then like my brother like was like a top 30 recruit coming out of high school, and he's dropping 54 on schools in high school, and he's doing a lot with his own career. So like the pressures from like having to live up to that was something that I definitely felt. Um, but I say, I kind of always knew that that was what I wanted to do. I kind of always knew that like basketball was like that was the route for me. I think that I really started to take it like very serious as far as like my training regimen, all that. Probably like my eighth grade year, seventh to eighth grade year, because you got to remember like, so me and my brother are 8 years apart. I'm doing everything that he's doing. So when he's a freshman or a sophomore in college, like I'm in like eighth, seventh grade. You know what I mean? So he really dedicated himself like after his freshman year to come back and really like train really at like a high level, and he took me with him. So I'm 12, 13 years old and I'm doing stuff that college guys are doing. And so after that, I was able to see like, okay, this is what I need to be doing in order to get to where my brother is at or even better, you know what I mean? And so I kind of took it serious from that standpoint, probably like around like my eighth grade. And I think that just like focusing on my body, and then getting in the gym, like we would get in the gym every day and make probably like 500 to 1,000 shots. You know what I mean? Just me and my bro just shooting, and that's just in the summer, like we just getting after it, and just getting those reps in. And so I think, I had the blessing to be exposed to that like up close and personal. Like not everybody has that blessing. So I was able to take advantage of it. So I would say around like eighth grade is where I really like was like, okay, I'm gonna start like really taking this thing serious and turn it up.
For sure. You so you started training pretty hard, seventh, eighth grade. I gotta know,
Hmm.
when did you know that you had hops like you do? Because for me, okay, and I'm being serious, it's not even close. Like as far as people I played with, you had the
Mm,
quickest ability to get up at the rim. That was the most impressive thing, was like
yeah.
your
Shoot.
explosiveness. So it wasn't even how high you could get; it was how quick you were to doing it. Like it could be off
Right.
1-2 bounce from
Yeah.
10 feet away from the hoop, and
Bro,
you're up at the rim.
we had plays for this
Right.
dude. We had plays for this dude
So
where it was just a handoff out of bounds, like, yo, just go dunk on him, bro.
I
Like
got to know,
that was our play.
like when did you know that about yourself?
I was always like an athletic kid. You know what I mean? Like I was always like running around. Like I used to play soccer when I was like 8, and I was always just all over the place. And so I think that, my parents did a good job of making sure that we did everything, play like all types of sports, because when you playing all these other sports, like you working on certain parts of your body that you don't even realize. Like when you playing soccer, like your legs, you know what I mean? When you look at soccer players, like they have strong legs, like their calves and they're strong. And so just playing all those different sports, I think really like helped me as a young age. And then I kind of knew that I was like pretty bouncy, like sixth grade, seventh grade. I got my first dunk like seventh grade, and I kind of was just always jumping around. And a lot of it I attributed to just genes,
For
man.
sure.
Like my dad couldn't jump as high as me and my brother, but we just had like athletic genes to the point where, like, when you combine that with actually like doing some workouts and stuff, like it allowed for me to be like super bouncy. But yeah, I would say like eighth grade, ninth grade, I knew that had like probably like a lot of bounce. Like ninth grade, I started like windmilling stuff like ninth grade, eighth grade. So I was like, okay, I probably am gonna be able to continue to jump pretty high as I
Yeah,
as I continue my basketball
I
career.
loved post practice. Like, all right, everyone's kind of done. Taking off the shoes. Brendan's just putting
Yeah.
on like a show, and we're getting scores. Like that was my favorite. Like,
Yeah, man, and that was something that I did. I used to do that in high school, so that was always something that we kind of just like at my high school. We, practice would finish, and then we would just put on like we would just compete against each other. Like, my teammates, my homies, like, what's your best dunk? Let me see what you can do. And so, someone might throw a lob to themselves and like, do a reverse. I'm like, okay, well, let me show you this. You know what I mean? And so we always competing. And it's like, let me point out the bounce real quick, like after practice. That was just something that all the way through high school, even at SC, everywhere I've been, that's just something that naturally that I kind of did after practice. So, you
it's
know,
funny.
those are my dead legs too.
Do you have a favorite dunk in game, or
Like
even like an
I
open run or something? Yeah.
My favorite dunk is the dunk against Warner Pacific.
Was that at home?
When we was playing at
Yep.
home. Yeah, we played at home, and it was like a fast break, and I took off for 2 feet, and
Hmm.
just caught him. But the reason why that dunk is my favorite is because that was like my parents were in town, because I think that was senior night, and like I dunked it, and then I like turned and I looked, and I saw my dad's eyes. My dad was like, and I like have my dad's played at a high level. He's seen like a lot of basketball. I had never seen his reaction like that, and so I was like, man, it must have been a pretty good dunk if I got him to be able to react like that. So that was probably my favorite dunk.
I think we got to pull these clips, Josh. Like I can pull those up. Those are still on
Yeah,
Synergy
we
somewhere
do.
from a
We
few
do.
years back.
For sure. I was literally just watching yesterday, just getting ready for this. I was like, yeah, let me get back in the mood. I need to see someone get bodied by B.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
man,
good.
good times. Those were good times for sure.
Well, obviously, like player to coach, right? So tell us a little bit about like how you got into coaching. Why, when did you decide that you wanted to do that? What was that transition like after you were done playing, and where are you at now?
Yeah, for sure. Man, I think we just even had a little bit of this conversation,
Hmm.
Jordan, when I when I saw you in New Orleans. So initially, I finished playing, and I think a lot of players go through this just because you play sports, you play basketball your entire life, and so when I was done, um, I kind of was like, "What's next?" And so, just having done stuff like physically and with sports my entire life, I didn't have a real interest in getting into sports right away. So initially, I wanted to do like artist management out here in LA. I had a couple of friends that were like up and coming music artists. And so, just growing up in LA and being around a lot of different backgrounds in the entertainment business, music business, and just knowing those people, I kind of wanted to get into that. And then, I had opportunity with Brandon Lincoln, who former Oregon player, former Division I coach, was leaving his job at Montana State and taking a head coaching job out here in LA at a high school in Burbank, Providence High School, and he wanted somebody to um, come and help him. Just kind of he's new in town, figure out how the landscape of Los Angeles works, and just me growing up here and being from here, I could kind of help him with that. So he gave me a call and I went over there, and at first I was just a frosh off coach, and I would help with the varsity. And initially, I was like, "Yeah, it's just cool. Like, I don't know what I want to. I don't know if this is what I want to do." Um, and I was still doing the artist stuff, and unfortunately, that didn't work out. So when that didn't work out, I kind of put more of my focus into like sports and what I know, just like second nature. And so I finished my first year at Providence as Frostoff coach, and I kind of had a conversation with B Link about what I wanted to do, and I actually went and I tried to play again. So I was training that entire time, like got into like really good shape. I went and I did some just different workouts. There's a Eurobasket summer thing that's put on. I went and I played in that and was trying to get my foot back in the door playing. And when I wasn't able to do that, that fully closed the door on my playing career. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go full fledged with this coaching stuff. So I had that conversation with B Link, and he brought me up as just a full varsity assistant. So I didn't coach Frosh off anymore. I didn't coach JV, and I was just helping with the varsity. So my role increased, and so I was able to have more of a voice and do more skill development. And so in year two, I kind of realized like this is what I want to do. Like I can have an impact at this level, at this high school level for sure. But I started to realize like I wanted more. Like I really wanted more. And the collegiate ranks were something that always was kind of um, in the back of my mind. Like I believe that I could be a good college coach just because of all my experience at the collegiate level, playing at all the different schools and all the adversity that I went through. And so after I realized like that this is really what I wanted to do in year two, I kind of just started putting feelers out there about the whole process on making that jump from college coaching. I mean, from high school coaching to college coaching, and like what the best way to go about doing that was. And I think nowadays, um, the easiest transition to do that is by doing a graduate assistant somewhere, just to get your foot in the door. And so once I was able to hear that, I was like, okay, I need to hit all my people that I know, hit my network, and just let people know that this is what I wanted to do. So that's what I started doing. Literally every conversation that I had with somebody in the basketball world, I told them, yeah, I want to be a college coach. Yeah, I want to do my GA somewhere. I want to do this. I want to do this. So that if people have a thought or hear about an opening somewhere, one of their initial thoughts is, "Oh, I was just talking to BT. Like he wants to do it. We could probably help him get his foot in the door right over there." And so um, that's what initially like sparked my mind into it. But I think one of the reasons why I want to continue with this coaching journey, I wanted to get into it was just the impact. Um, you're able to like have a say and help young men that are at a very special time in their life, 18 to 23-year-old young men that are kind of just like trying to figure out what they want to do. Like, not all of us are going to be able to go play professional basketball. You know what I mean? So, how are you setting yourself up for life after basketball? And more importantly, how are you navigating through the adversities and the obstacles that collegiate basketball brings, the politics that come with it, not being able to necessarily play as many minutes that you want to, button heads with your coach, having to balance school and basketball and social life. And so all these things, they play a large role in student athletes' lives. And I felt like I was a person that could really like relate with these young men and help them navigate through their time during their college days. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much how
Mm.
I got into it.
yeah,
What were some early challenges for you? I know for a lot of people that I talk to, it's a lot about verbalizing how to become a better player versus just showing them. Because as a player, we're told like, "Hey, don't tell me what you know, show me what you know." So like, what are some of the early challenges for you as a coach in navigating through that?
Um, I think some of the early challenges for myself were like I've been exposed to like a lot of high level guys and high level players, and a lot of these young men haven't. So in my mind, like when I see something, like I'm seeing it done at like the highest level or a really good athlete doing it. So that's how I view it in my mind. And when I try to get a player to vision that, sometimes it's hard for them because they haven't seen that. So you really have to break it down, start like at a base level, maybe watch film with them just so they can be exposed to it and really like show them how it needs to be. Um, and then I think just finding your voice. I think every coach has to go through like the process of being able to find your voice, and I was able to do that at during in my high school ranks, coaching, just because Coach Lincoln gave me an opportunity to like find my voice, and he knew what I wanted, so he put me in positions to where I was gonna have to lead some segments of practice or lead some skill development. And so initially, you kind of have like that little mouse voice, and you don't want to yell, and you don't want to get on somebody's butt or be mean, or you know what I mean. And so finding that voice initially was kind of a challenge for me. But once you kind of just forget about like being liked by the guys and understand that it's your job to get them better, and majority of times like they might not like you, it doesn't really matter. Once you get over that, I feel like you can like truly find like who you are and your voice as a coach.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I know we talked about this a little bit, but tell us a little bit about your role currently at St. John's. Like, what are you doing? You just kind of talked about finding your voice. Like, what's your go-to on a daily basis with the guys you got in the program?
Yeah, so I mean, right now I'm a graduate assistant at St. John's University, out in Queens, New York, under Coach Mike Anderson and his staff, and it's been amazing. It's been everything that I could imagine. Honestly, it's everything that I wanted. A very gratifying process, a very gratifying experience, humbling experience, but a fun experience most importantly. And I'm able to learn a lot. So majority of my time right now I spend doing skill development and player development. I would say that's about like 50% of my time, and then I do a lot of film. So if any of the coaches need film broken down for them, I'll break down film for them. If they want to see certain players, the big thing right now is the transfer portal. So they're looking at certain guys in the transfer portal. I'll get some film, pull it on that, and put it on their computer for them. And then the other, so this film is probably like 25%, and then the other is just miscellaneous, just Costco runs, helping fill up the locker room, making sure these guys get to class, making sure that they get to tutoring, playing Big Brother, playing friends, being a psychologist. There's a bunch of other stuff that happens on a daily basis that you don't know which way it might go. You might have to go and, help this dude with, some tutoring stuff, help this dude with some academic stuff, and then come back and get on the court. And then after that, go peel some film. So it changes and it varies on a day-to-day basis, but that's the majority of what I'm doing.
Cool.
That's cool.
Cool.
Something that just came to my mind. I didn't honestly plan on asking you about this, but I'm curious. Have you seen any difference in the way that college athletes act or the way that they hold themselves with like NIL deals being a big thing now? I know just how those things work. Like, where are you at with NIL deals and what you see? I know that doesn't come to everybody, and not everyone's blessed with that opportunity. But have you noticed a difference just in talking to guys? You talk about the transfer portal.
Yeah, so I think with NIL deals, just with us, um, we're still in the process of like really trying to do our best to help our guys get some money out of these situations. So obviously, with it being brand new, we're still working through that a little bit, and I think that the biggest change that I've seen is players on our team, like may hear about other guys getting certain money or certain deals and the amount of money that they may be getting. And then that piques their interest and they're like, oh, well, how can I go about doing that? Or how can I go about doing that? So I would say you got a lot of young men having the opportunity to make a lot of money in college. So obviously that's going to pique their interest. So I think just trying to understand more about it and trying to understand like how can we be put in positions to take advantage of this situation. So I would say just heightened talks about it. You know what I mean? Just guys being curious about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So now that you just talked about
That's cool.
NIL, I know the biggest thing besides that in college basketball right now is the transfer portal. So it's trickled down. Honestly, like me coaching at the NAIA level, it's trickled down to every level. You got D1 kickbacks looking for a place to play. Um, what's kind of like I know my opinion and everything on it, but I kind of want to hear your opinion on the transfer portal. How much do you see your staff looking at that versus recruiting straight out of high school? Like, because now there's just an added factor and it's more
Right.
competitive now.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I think that things have changed over the past couple of years to where it's like uh, a lot of situations are like a win now
Hmm.
situation, and I think people have pressures to like win right now. And so with the landscape of the transfer portal, that obviously helps because you have guys that have a proven track record somewhere else at a high level, or you know what I mean, they've shown what they can do at the collegiate level, versus guys that are coming in from high school that haven't necessarily, proven that they can do this at this level. So I think that, right now we're looking to replace two of our top scorers. So unfortunately, like we can't get that straight from guys that are coming in from the high school level. Like we have two great signees coming in from the high school level, but making an impact like Julian Champagny did, that's tough. He was a guy
Yeah.
that all from second to third year, he, all leading scorer of the Big East, and you know what I mean, the numbers that he was able to put up. So we need someone that can come and replace that, like right away. You know what I mean? And so where are you gonna look? You're gonna go and look for guys that have done that, proven themselves at a similar level. So I think it's a little bit balanced. I would say, as far as like going into the transfer portal and then bringing in recruits from high school, because you still want to get an opportunity to develop these young men that you're bringing
Yeah,
in.
for sure.
And you know what I
Yep.
mean? So you kind of have to like combine it with, uh, longevity teams that are going to be good in like 2 to 3 years, and players that are going to be good in a couple of years, and bringing them along and developing them and mixing that with guys that are a little bit older and have played and are more experienced. So you know it's such a big topic. You have kids that are young men. I don't want to say kids. You have young men that have the opportunity to go and put their name in the transfer portal and get to a different situation and play right away versus having to sit out. So it's like college free agency. That's really how I
Yep.
look at it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And so I like it for for the players, man. It gives them um, an option to go where they feel like they may have a better situation or they may fit better in a certain school or organization. Obviously it's not going to work out all the time, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you have some situations where the grass isn't always greener, but I think young men have to understand that when they put themselves in that position, that if you're leaving a good situation, there's no guarantee that this next situation over there is going to be just as good as the situation that you're in.
Yep.
So I think you have to really like take a hard look at the area that you're in, and am I making the best decision for myself and my family? So
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, right?
it's interesting though, bro.
It is.
Yeah, it's for sure. It's for sure a risk. And it's just like there's gonna be so many kids that kind of just like fall by the wayside that are
Yep.
in the transfer portal. Like, everyone is not gonna get an opportunity to find a school that's gonna work out for them. So it is interesting. We'll see how, it continues to work out over the next couple of
Well, it's
years.
Right.
crazy too because a lot of guys right now are using that extra year of eligibility that they got through COVID, right?
Right,
So like a
right,
lot of rosters are full, right? And so you
right,
got bigger
right.
rosters at places and maybe talent levels out at different levels, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of different factors into it. So it's interesting.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
What was it like? I know the transfer portal is definitely way bigger of a conversation now than obviously when it was when we were at NCU. But what was it like coming in as an older dude with like a brand new team? Because like you obviously want to insert yourself and be a part of it, but you also don't like realize that there's people that have been there for 3 years and all that kind of noise. So what is it like coming in as an older dude?
Yeah, I think for me and my experiences, I'm the type of person that I don't ever want to step on anybody's toes. Um, like if somebody has something that that where they've been for a little bit and they solidified their role, like I'm not gonna come in and just like try to like bully or take that over. But I'll figure out a way where we can work together and like put ourselves in the best position for the team. That's just how I am personality wise and as a person. Um, and then for me, just being older and kind of knowing what I'm looking for, I kind of had more of like a clear cut vision of what I wanted and what I wanted to get out of the situation. Um, and you're dealing with new people, and so you're not going to get along with everyone, but at the end of the day, you're on the team with people, and you all have one goal, and so we need to come together and try to find like some common ground so that we can achieve this goal. So I think for me, like coming in from Santa Clara and having been at SC, and going to NCU or Bushnell, it was it was refreshing because I think everyone was like happy to get after it. Everyone wanted to get after it. Everyone wanted to win. You know what I mean? So to put myself in that, just kind of throw myself in that situation where we all are like common minded, and have one common goal. It was kind of refreshing for that.
I think it was
Nice.
I think one thing I can appreciate about UBT is that exactly what you just said is exactly how I felt about you and Josh. You can probably attest to this too. I feel like, we knew that you were coming from a higher level. So for us, it's kind of like, okay, how is BT going to be? Is he going to big time us? Is this like too small of a level for him? I think you were slow to speak, and I
Right.
think you proved yourself before you spoke up, um, which was really
Right.
cool to see. And you became like a leader for our team, definitely by example and your work ethic, right? And you were one of the better players on the team. So it's like, it was nice to see that. And you came into a situation too where we just came off of a conference title too. So it's kind of like, okay, now we got to reset ourselves. Can we go back to back? And yeah, I think like what you just said about yourself is 100% the truth. You were like, you were about the team. You know, we had a hungry team to do it again, and you led by example. So I think that's really cool to hear you say in retrospect too, because it's like, yeah, that was exactly who you were. You didn't big time us or anything, you know? So,
All right. I appreciate that, man. I mean that's kind of just like how I try to how I try to live. And it goes back to, even in current day with my coaching. I believe that one day I'll be a head coach. I truly believe that. And so um I always want to make sure that like I'm a resource for everybody that I come into contact with. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of young men at the high school level that don't know a college coach, that don't know a Division 1 player, that don't know guys that are like at these high positions, and I want to be someone that is around for them, and that they can see and that they can reach out to if they have any questions. And so just being kind of just like personable and understanding like I'm here for everybody. You know what I mean? And that's how I felt like I didn't want to come in and come off like arrogant or like, oh, I'm too good to be here, because I'm not too good to be here. You know what I'm saying? I needed y'all just as much as you guys needed me, and I understand it that like I'm trying to win. You guys just came off of winning. I've never won anything before, so obviously there's something that I have to learn from you guys.
right.
And so just putting myself in that position and trying to get a feel for everybody before I felt comfortable enough to like really verbalize things. And naturally that's just how I am too. I'm kind of a like, see before I do type person, and I'm gonna observe before I speak, and naturally just a mellow kind of guy. Um, so I wanted to come in that situation and understand that I'm part of the team. It's not me, it's we. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that I was able to come off that way, and man, we had a good time,
For sure.
and we were able to win some ball games, man. Too. We were able to win some ball games. So
Yep.
most importantly,
For sure. You
Right.
gave me a lot of opportunities to think about good celebrations whenever you dunked on people. So like I appreciate you for that. Um, re- real quick, I want to kind of change subjects a little bit. We had kind of talked about this a few times before, but let's talk about just player development as a whole. You have a lot of people where it's a very exciting thing to be doing right now, especially with kind of the advancement of
Right.
social media, like how this is something that I'm passionate about, just kind of filtering out like what's the BS online, what's not, and just kind of understanding like what you should be really paying attention to. Talk to us a little bit about what like skill development really looks like how exciting is it versus how kind of monotonous is it? Like what does that look like for you, and how do you really develop yourself as a player?
so for me, like I tell a lot of our guys and the guys that I'm working with right now, like we're gonna be doing a lot of basic stuff. We're gonna be doing a lot of basic repetition stuff, and it might be boring, but that's how you get better at it. Like you're not gonna go and be doing like, and this is no shot at James Harden or anybody like that, but you're not going to be in the game, especially at the collegiate level, doing like James Harden package. You know what I mean? Like doing step back and between the leg, that's not very like real for me. So we're just gonna work on a lot of just simple 1-2 dribble pull ups, repping shots out, game looking shots, and stuff that translates and correlates to in game stuff. So you're not gonna do anything that you wouldn't do in the game. You know what I mean? And so that's how I really view it. And I'm right there with you, just like filtering like the social media, like you know just I don't want to put bad terminology on it, but the videos where you see guys doing all this crazy stuff, and you're like, how exactly does that help him become a better
Right.
basketball
Yeah.
player? So I think for me, just keeping it like really simple and honing in on just like fundamental stuff, basic stuff, and just, repetition or repping it out and a consistent basis, just getting in the gym, 5 out of 7 days, 6 out of 7 days. And it doesn't have to be for a long time, but we're going to get after it for 45 minutes to an hour, and you're going to get a little bit better each day. So that's how I kind of view it. It is exciting because you get an opportunity to help somebody get better. And I think anytime you get to help somebody get, be a better person, be a better basketball player, that's an exciting process. And to see like the process of somebody starting at point A and then finishing all the way over here throughout the season or throughout an off season or throughout just your time working together, it's a refreshing process, especially for the young men that like buy into like understand that this is how it's gonna go. So yeah, man, I'm right there with you though. There's a lot of stuff on social media that I'll see, and it's just like, what are we really doing
It's
here?
comical.
That's why I don't even really like try to post. I don't really try to post anything that I'm doing. I'm just like, we're gonna get it in. We're gonna get it in. That's one thing. We're gonna get in the gym and we're gonna get after it.
For sure.
That's
Yeah, like
funny. I don't think
working on your
people
jump shot.
realize.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't think people realize like how long it took for a guy like James Harden to even get there. Like, go back and watch him in college. The dude
Yeah.
was like the most fundamental player.
Right.
Like, he was killing it, being
Right.
efficient at ASU. Like,
Right.
he wasn't shooting
Exactly.
step back,
Exactly.
30 footers. Like, he was a great catch and shoot, and then he got to that point. But guys try to get to that too soon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Skip steps, man. People try to skip steps all the time. You gotta just want to lock in and do the work. And I've been around some guys that are really good, just skill development. At the high school level, at the lower levels, and all those stuff that you're doing at the lower level, you can take that and implement that at the higher levels too, with college dudes, with professionals. You know what I mean? And so just getting these young men to understand and to buy in into the process. Like sometimes it's gonna suck. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're gonna do stuff that you don't want to do, but you're gonna get better, and that's why we're here. So
For sure.
All right, man. That was good stuff. That's it for me, bro. We really appreciate your time, getting to dive into some personal
of
stuff, your
course, brother.
development, and just kind of like sharing some game for some kids that may not have all the same opportunities and getting to know some of the things that they should know. So we really appreciate your time, bro.
Of course, man, and like I said, like I want to be a resource for people. So give people my email if they want to reach out and they have questions. How to go about getting recruited or just drills that they can work on or anything. They just want to pick my brain. I'm here for young men that are going through that process and going through some adversities. I've been through it all, so why not talk to someone that's been through it all? So I appreciate you guys for having me. This is a dope concept. I'm happy and I'm curious to see where you guys take it. So thank you for having me.
Hey,
Thanks,
man, it
BT.
wouldn't go very far without people like you,
Of
bro.
course, brother.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all.